All right. Hey, guys, we're here for the Signature Talk workshop mastermind tonight. Feel free to unmute yourself at any time if you have questions. This is a Signature Talk template. You have your handout in front of you with some questions that you're going to answer. And this is a framework that has been in existence for a long time. This is a talk framework in order to sell your product or your services. This is also meant to prepare you for a 5-minute talk with someone, a 20-minute talk with someone, up to a 75-minute presentation. So keep that in mind, that we're also, crafting that language that you're going to use at networking events, or when you connect with someone, you'll use pieces of this framework. So I named each phase. I named the prepare, engage, connect, the teaching part, which sometimes the teaching part won't come into play like at a networking event, and then the close the gap part. That's your call to action part. So we're going to jump right in, and I have a warning for all you perfectionists out there, because I'm one of you. Remember that getting there with your physical presence and your energy and your vibe is way more important than getting the exact talk correct, spot on, memorized. And I will give you that example 100 times over. I have prepared, written note cards, and done a PowerPoint, and the note cards match the PowerPoint, and I never look at the cards. Ever. Never happens. So I want to just say that is so much more important than that perfectly crafted script. So your passion, your message is what comes first. That's what comes through when you're enthusiastic about what you're doing. So let's start off with the prepare section. And I can print these notes out for you too if you want, so you don't have to go crazy writing things. But the prepare section is market, butts and seats. Where are they going to come from? So you'll want to spend about 4 times the amount of time marketing the engagement or workshop than you do creating the content. So if it's a longer talk or a longer workshop, the formula is, if it's an hour-long workshop and it takes you 4 hours to do the PowerPoint, write the content, then you need to spend 4 times that to fill your spots, especially if it's a paid workshop. So that's just kind of the formula I keep in my mind. If it's a 20-minute talk I'm giving and it's free, I don't spend as much time marketing it, obviously. But if it's a paid for event, plan on spending at least 4 times the amount of time marketing, inviting, messaging, emailing. The title for your talk needs to be provocative, or hot, or motivating, or makes people go, what's that about? So picking a hot title or something a little controversial, like Denise and I were talking about a book today, and Denise, if you can refresh my memory, there's also a book out there that did really, really well. It's called How Not to Die. It's about healthy living, but controversial, and it's sold because of the title. So let's really concentrate on that. Make sure you have water and a timer and your notes in your bag to take with you if you need that. Speak as though you're connecting to one person. Every single time I pick a person in the audience that I am speaking directly to, I watch their facial expressions. Are they getting it? Are they smiling? Are they laughing? And then maybe I'll look around, I'm making eye contact with lots of people, but I pick one or two that's my gauge for the event. And that prep, leaves you feeling like you're connecting with the energy in the room. Always bring someone with you. If it's a talk for more than 50 people, always bring somebody with you, somebody who can help you connect, somebody that can collect names for you on a clipboard, and somebody that can be there for you for other things. I used to take a massage therapist with me, and he would be at the table and he would be taking signups. Cheryl and I did a really small event together where we were both at the table. So it was kind of like we could both talk to people. So having that is super important. If you can, once we go back to the whole in-person thing, visiting the venue ahead of time can be really helpful. Like right now, my venue is my office. I don't need to get familiar. I know where everything is. And if you're doing Zooms, you don't need to worry about that. But when we get back to doing in-person events, visiting the venue ahead of time can be really helpful. Little music when you first start is another really good motivator. I start lots of talks that way. And then reach as many different kinds of learning styles as possible within your talk. This is one of the greatest tips I ever got. So there's 3 types or 4 types of learners. There's the visual learner, there's the auditory learner, and there's the kinesthetic learner, which learns by feeling. And then there's combinations of the 3 of those. So I tend to be a visual learner. And then my secondary is auditory. And then I might, pull in some emotion, but it's always visual first. You show me how to do something, I remember it. Show me how to get somewhere, I remember it. So if you incorporate all 3 of those into your talk, which means even at a networking event, give someone something visual, something auditory, and something feeling. That's how you will grab people and have them remember you. The networking event I was just at tonight, I introduced myself. I made people laugh, which that's one of my signature strains. Then I also gave them a feeling of how I make people feel, what I do in my job. I make people feel vibrant and alive and full of energy in their own body. And the one guy was like, "Oh, I need you to help me social distance from my refrigerator." Ha ha ha. But he's already messaged me. So it was really cool to give that kind of emotional feeling. So think about that. Okay, any questions so far? Go ahead, Michelle, just unmute yourself. Need help?
No, I don't have any questions.
Oh, okay. I thought you raised your hand.
Did I? I thought I was going like this. No.
Oh, I thought you went like this.
No.
But hi.
Hi.
Okay, next section. We want to engage our audience. So, this is huge, and this is something everybody does. So, make yourself different. Don't introduce yourself right off the bat. It should almost feel as though they should know who you are. And here's what's recommended in this engage piece, which is the first couple minutes of the talk. Don't introduce yourself right away. Welcome to and the name of your talk. And then ask an engaging question that nearly everyone in the audience will say yes to, and have them raise their hands. This is called an icebreaker. This gets your audience, whether it's virtual or whether it's in person, this gets them feeling like, oh yeah, she's talking to me. She's talking to me. Yeah, raise my hand. Who is this? SM. wants to come in. All right, so if I'm letting a porn person in, they're joining.
Hey, you never know. There's four ladies on the thing.
I know. I know, right?
What the heck?
Hello, hello. Who is it that just joined?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, can you hear me? Hey.
It's Susan. Okay, I was like, who's SM? We don't want to have any porn stars joining our Zoom. Oh, now she's frozen. Are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, cool. All right, say hello to everybody, Susan.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Susan.
This is
Hi.
Susan. If you haven't met her, Susan Mordan.
Hey.
I have never met you, Susan. I'm Cheryl. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Okay, let's jump right back into the engage part. So it was first, don't introduce yourself. Welcome to the title of your talk. And then ask an engaging question that makes everyone say yes. So we want everyone to say yes or raise their hand. That gets them active and engaged. And then share with them that it is really possible to do what they're hoping for. So I'll use Cheryl as an example because I've seen her talk and I know what her talk's about. She could ask a question like, how many people are still feeling overwhelmed and stressed out being quarantined at home? And everybody's going to raise their hand. I'm going to raise two because I haven't had wine tonight, but I'm skipping it tonight. So we'll see. And then everybody raises their hand and they're engaged with Cheryl now. And then she shares with them, tonight, I'm going to show you that it is possible to have a tool in your back pocket called meditation that will help you feel better right now. Today, right now, you can start doing it. You don't have to be an expert, and then she's got them. She's got them paying attention in a different way. So my example that I wrote down, it really is possible to have an amazing level of energy and hope and direction for the future. So that was mine. So pick an example, that your client, something that your client is hoping to get from your talk. And then you let them know it's really possible for you to bless you. Bless you. It really is possible for you to have a meditation practice and be able to go to it for just 1 minute during your day and calm yourself. It really is possible to balance your finances and feel good about your money again. For Susan, who's healthy lifestyle choices, and she's still crafting all of this stuff, you're going to let your potential clients know that it really is possible for them to achieve the health and well-being that they want, right? And by saying it, you're actually engaging them on a different level. And then lastly, in this engage section, have a reason for them to stay to the end. And I will tell you, this was the hardest thing to get used to doing, is that you're going to give something away at the end that keeps people on your Zoom calls, on your webinars, or at your in-person events. It's a little easier because people tend to stay to the end. They tend not to walk out when they're in person. But in this atmosphere, giving an online talk or a webinar, it's important to engage them and make them want to stay to the end. So an example would be, at the end of tonight, I'm going to give you all my notes on this lecture. at the end of tonight, I'm going to give you my checklist for building your own meditation practice. At the end of the night, I'm going to make sure you're on my list for a giveaway for a free coaching session, something like that. And if there's less than 10 people on your call or on your webinar, I totally suggest allowing people to introduce themselves so they can interact, get to know each other, and maybe make some connections on a deeper level, not for just you, but for everybody in the room. Any questions on that piece? All right. All right, next we go to the connect phase. So the connect phase of your talk is where you emotionally connect to your people. This is where you tell a story, a personal story, and you balance it with your credibility and your approachability. So this is the dance piece of telling stories, of weaving in your personal story. I understand because I was there type story that takes you from where you were to where you are now. And you need to be a little vulnerable, unfortunately, and keep the personal story short and condensed from 1 minute to maybe 3 at the most. And that personal story should grab at the emotions of people. When I tell the story about when my mom passed away a lot in my healthy living talks, because that was my motivator for changing my career, changing my life, changing my own health and well-being, was having my mom pass away of a massive stroke while I was on the phone with her, wishing her a happy birthday. That changed me forever. And I could have chosen to use that as a bad experience and be damaged for the rest of my life, or choose to use it as something to motivate me. And that's how I share the story. Like, there's no tears and crying, and yes, it's a sad story, but let me show you how it changed me. So that's the kind of story I want you to come up with that relates to your talk and what you do for a living. Like, it's all got to tie together. And when you tie that story back to I've been there too, I understand, if I can do this, you can do this, people feel more connected to you. Also, let your participants know that you have more than what you're giving right now. And I'll give you the perfect example. We're working on your signature talk right now, which can be used for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 60-minute talk. If you need more help with that, if you need more help with these individual things that I'm talking about, let's schedule a time to do that one-on-one. That's the perfect example, to connect with them, with your personal story, and then let them know you have more to help them even more. Okay, so I guess the example for the connect phase, the personal story, if you have about 10 personal go-to stories, that should be good to start off. You're going to use these stories when you network with people. For social media, you're going to use them if you're comfortable. You can use them on Facebook Lives if you're comfortable. And the way I learned to do personal stories is to basically decide on that choice point moment, okay, the day that my mom passed away, and then bullet point out the details. So the date, the time that I called, how I felt that day, end of a long work day. You know, those little details, I just bullet point on a page. And I have a notebook that has about 25 or 30 stories in it. So they're my go-tos when I'm crafting a talk or a speech. I mean, obviously some of them are already memorized. You don't have to go look for one that fits. But having them written down and bullet pointed during like quiet time rather than content creation time really, really helps. Because then when I'm sitting crafting a talk or a workshop, I don't have to get into the emotion of finding what story goes with what talk. I could just go to my book and it's almost like I'm looking up some, oh yeah, that story fits here. Does that make sense? I kind of take the emotion out of it and it's more planned. And then your next part is the teaching part. And this is where this part would come out if you're at a networking event. So the teach part is only for, actually giving a webinar or a talk, or, if like Michelle and I are talking, and I'm going to interview her on my my coffee chat tomorrow morning, right? You're tomorrow morning, Michelle? So having that, yeah, tomorrow's Friday. This week, where has it gone? So that teaching section, I'm going to give her like 5 or 10 minutes to teach the audience something if she wants. And during that time, you want to make sure you know your client's goals and you know that you can get them there. It's a true reality. And then give them options to get there, right? So you've identified their goals, you repeat their goals back to them, and then you give them some options, either in working with you or solving their problem. For instance, it doesn't really matter if they identify their goals and visions first, or they talk about what's in the way first. It doesn't matter. You can do it any way you want, but it's important to address both. So for Cheryl, being a busy mom, working mom, you might not find time to meditate. All right, so you've already addressed the obstacle. So crafting those statements into your talk can be really helpful. And then you want to address the visual learners in your group. Like you all have a PDF in front of you with some of the bullet points to take notes on. Those visual learners like that. They like checklists. They like a place to fill in notes where I'm supposed to. And you know who does this really, really well? If you've ever taken a master class with Mind Valley Institute online, if you haven't, look them up. Every free master class, they give a workbook with blanks to fill in, and it helps you retain the material so much more. So provide a handout or a checklist for your people. And when you're doing that virtually, obviously you can do it with a PDF beforehand, like I did with you guys tonight. If you're doing a paid workshop or a webinar, you can email that to them before. And if there's time, lead a partner exercise. This is super powerful. So for anyone who is a service provider, or your goal is to sell a product, or your goal is to connect with people, it doesn't matter. If you have a partner exercise in your talk, it seals the lesson in. I learned so much from my partner exercises when I was in school for positive psychology, because everything we did, we got paired up with someone and you had to go practice it. So if you're teaching something like Cheryl does, like I do, that is practicable in the moment, have people practice it while you're there with them. Really, really powerful. If you're talking to a big crowd, more than 50 people, get them either standing up, clap, raise their hand, something that's interactive rather than partnering, or have them turn to each other and introduce yourself to the person next to you. That's another good icebreaker. Your talk should also address their problems, aches, and pains without making them feel wrong or bad. So that's that compassionate, Michelle, I know you do this really, really well, because money is a sensitive subject for people. They're scared to be vulnerable, that they're in debt or they're struggling, right? So letting them know that their financial problems are common. It's okay. We can get past this. And not pointing fingers, which obviously you would never do. The next tip I have 4 more tips for this section, is paint a picture for your participants what it's like to not have the struggle. So the word imagine really, really works, whether it's written or said. Imagine a life without XYZ. Imagine your life once this XYZ is gone, something along those lines. When they have that feeling of, oh yeah, close my eyes, I'm imagining, you could even have them close their eyes and imagine what it would feel like 3 years from now to look back on a successful business and book deal and your ideal amount of team members. Amazing. And then connect the dots for them and explain, here's why knowing this information can and will change your life if you allow it. It's a perfect line for Michelle. It's a perfect line for Cheryl. Here's why knowing this can change your life. Because it did for me. And for however many other people you've helped. That's actually the process of getting your people shifted out of the victim mindset. And that can be really, really transformative in a talk. And I'm sure you've heard, people give transformational talks, they give motivational talks, or they give educational talks. That's the 3. But it can be a unique combination of all 3 if you have the amount of time, right? If you have a 60-minute window, you can take people on a transformational, motivational, educational journey. And that is just incredible to do for somebody. The next tip is help your participants see the cost long-term of staying where they're at. This is another powerful shift. Invite them to reflect and share, considering the costs of the problem, how it's affecting their family life, their health, their finances, career, mindset, etc. And this is something that I had to work at a little bit because I was, I don't want to say afraid. I will say that my mindset was always, and this is just how I grew up, was just do it. Just do it. Shit or get off the pot. And I had to understand that the people I was coaching or motivating or talking to didn't have that mindset. I had to get them to that mindset. So inviting them to reflect and share how keeping this problem, carrying it with them like a little companion, was going to affect them 2 years down the road, 3 years down the road, 10 years down the road really, really made a difference. The next tip is to use stats, research, and success stories. So this engages those left-brained people. If you have science-backed research, statistics, numbers that say this many people have this much and they did this about it and this helped. So by engaging the left brain people in the room, it builds credibility with them when you have numbers, research. This article from Forbes magazine quoted Harvard research, blah, blah, blah. Oh yeah, she knows what she's talking about. Yes. Yes, makes a big, huge difference. So bringing stats is great. And then if you don't have client stories to share yet, like success stories, share research on clients that brings credibility. So Cheryl could use, there's been so many meditation studies at big companies. Just do a couple Google searches for meditation studies and you can pull those numbers from those studies and then quote the study at the end of your talk. And remember, don't overgive. So this is, I'm still learning this lesson. And when you overgive and you share too much and you teach too much and you motivate too much, not saying you're too much because you're all freaking fabulous, but you overwhelm your participants. I want to encourage each and every one of you that's in this mastermind that you are light years ahead of other people. And this is something that's hard to wrap your head around, but other people have not done the work that you've done on yourself. They're not doing the work you're doing right now, just being in this group. And if you teach them everything you know, there's no reason to work with you. Been there, done that, yes. And when they're overwhelmed, they're not going to reach out to you for more. Oh, that was just too much to handle. And it shuts those right-brained people down. And then optional, having a slideshow. Now, I love having a PowerPoint for talks instead of note cards. So if I'm given the option at a talk to have a slideshow, even if it's just simple text with some simple pictures, I like that because then I don't have to have note cards and I use the slides as a prompt and a reminder. Okay, how's everybody feeling so far? Where are you guys at? You feeling good so far? Any questions? No? Good. All right. So now the last part of your talk is where you close the gap and you offer your solution or your call to action. So you can ask for feedback. What's the biggest thing they got out of being here tonight? You can also describe why you created this talk or workshop or get together. I love doing that. Love saying, why did I do this? Why do I do a networking event? Why do I do a coffee chat? Why do I do, a mastermind for people? Share that. You could mention another client's success. I want to share with you a story about a client I have. We just finished up working together and they re-signed for another 6 months because their business has doubled. So every month they're making more money and they wanted that to continue. Revisit the benefits of what you were talking about. Revisit the benefits of your service or your product. Describe exactly who it's for. You could also, a powerful tool that Tony Robbins uses quite often is who it's not for. And I will tell you that one of the most powerful sales conversations I've ever had was telling a woman that she was not ready to work with me. So we went through this whole formula. We engaged, connected. I talked about what I could do, talked about client success stories, taught her a little something about body language and sales, but not too much. This is what we would do in our work together. And she asked the price. I told her the price, and she was like, "Oh, I thought you would be like $25 an hour." And I was like, "No, coaching is a little bit more expensive than that. And are you ready to do that?" And she said, "No, I had no idea." And I said, "Okay, I understand you're not ready to learn NLP, authentic sales process, and get coached at this level." And I just pulled the piece of paper back across the table, folded it up, put it in my purse, continued the conversation. And she kind of looked at me like, oh, we're done? Well, yeah. And sometimes telling your audience that it's not the right fit for you if you don't have money to invest right now. It's not the right fit for you if you're not ready to plan your future. It's not the right fit for you if you want to stay in the victim, stressed out mindset. And that makes people go, "Oh, but I don't want to stay there, Cheryl. I want to come along with you in Peaceful Town." Makes people feel, "Oh, no, I don't want to stay there. I don't want to stay in debt. I want to come work with you, Michelle." And then you could address objections regarding lack of time and money. Some of the professional women and men that I work with feel like they don't have enough time to come to see me. And if you're feeling like that, we could do virtual meetings, or we could do a simple 15-minute coaching call once a week and get you on your way to your goals. How does that sound? Well, that's easy to do, right? So you're making it easy at the end of the talk to follow up and do that call to action with you. All right. Lastly, you want to give solutions, and this goes especially for coaches or people selling a service. And this was very difficult to remember. You want to give solutions without telling people what to do. And I will say, clench my teeth, sit on my hands, try to remember that you're in a conversation or a talk to sell something else, or to lead people to work with you, or to lead people to buy your products, or even just lead people to your website. If you give it all to them, why? It's like, what is that saying about getting the milk for free because you...
Why buy the cow?
There you go. Why buy the cow if you get the milk for free? It's the same with networking, giving a talk, giving a webinar, or even an online get together. If you give it all, there's no reason for people to follow up and work with you. And that's ultimately what we want. And especially at this time, you have the chance to reinvent and retool the way you talk, the way you interact with people. And I'm using this opportunity to craft my networking skills. I have been practicing virtual networking in some form every day, whether it's one-on-one, whether it's joining a group I've never been to, or whether it's just connecting with my own networking group. Every day there's something. So it's a chance to practice these steps and see how they work for you. Oh, well, that doesn't work for me. Well, leave it out if that doesn't work for you. If telling stories doesn't feel natural and work for you, then you don't do it. If it does, embrace it and do it better. Craft it, do it better each time. And then the actual ask for money or sign up or schedule. Here's the powerful piece. When I have a discovery call with someone, I would finish the call, and if they said, yes, I want to work with you. Yes, how much is it? Yes, what is our next step? That's the goal. Anytime you're in front of an audience or you have a person one-on-one, the goal is, how do I work with you? So you don't have to ask them if they want to hear. The goal is to pull that out of the, how do I work with you, Suzanne? Tell me more. Like, what do I need to do? And I would always forget to set up their next time with me. Every single time. They would leave or they would get off the call and we weren't scheduled for our next time. So then I send over a contract and I send an invoice. Why didn't I just get them to schedule when I was on the phone? Let's schedule for next Monday and I can take your credit card. And it's done. But that took guts. That took more boldness. And I was scared to do it. And what happens when you're scared to do that? People have a couple days to think about it, they lose a little bit of confidence, and then they don't schedule with you. So whether you're asking for money or not, get them on your calendar. Get their email, get their phone number. I'm reserving an hour for you on Monday. Does that time work for you? Awesome. Let them know how much time. I'm reserving this time just for you. That was the old dental office trick. Yeah, I'll stay late on Monday night since you can only make it at 8 o'clock at night. I'll reserve that time just for you. But if you can't make it or you don't show up, you don't get another 8 o'clock at night appointment with me. And everybody showed up for my nighttime appointments. So why couldn't I do that as a coach? I could do it as a dental hygienist, but as a coach, I needed to adopt the same practice. And that's really it. As far as wrapping up with an emotional reason, signing up for maybe a free coaching session, discovery call, or having you do a financial evaluation, or like for Denise, interview series, guest expert stuff. Wrap up with an emotional reason why they should do it. Or if they do it, they sign up, or they get on your list, or they schedule an appointment. Leave them with an emotion, with a, I'm grateful that you signed up for this. It's going to really make a difference for you. And of course, you can't say that unless you mean it, unless you feel it, right? It has to be authentic. But when you leave somebody with an emotion, when they walk away, they're more apt to show up for that next call with you. Even if that next call is free, even if that next call is to buy products from you, they're more apt to show up when you leave them with an emotion. And practice the offer. So I would love to have you guys practice that with each other. We don't have to do it tonight since it's late, but take advantage of the other people in the group. And if you don't know who would be a good person to practice on, you want to practice with somebody who's like your ideal client. And you want to practice that, engage, connect, teach a little something, and then make an offer. See if you can do it in 5 minutes. See if you can do it in 10 minutes. See how it would feel at the end of a 40-minute talk to connect emotionally and make an offer. And if you need more help on making offers from the stage, that's a whole different kind of getting people to the back of the room to sign up Oh, Denise said she had to go. Oh, she had to go. She said, love you guys. So practice the offer and practice your introduction. The meat in the middle is your personality. That's what sells the best. And I'm going to unmute everybody and stop recording. Thank you.